Morning, afternoon, whenever you're watching this from. Sorry I missed you last week. I'm in the process of moving, and ironically, the day we move, or the week we move, was a really, really eventful week. So this week, what we're going to be talking about is 3 of the crazy things that I think are the best to talk about for this week. It was a lot of fun to hear, and I was sitting there and I was like, man, I really wish I could talk about this, but it just wasn't in the cards. So what we are going to be talking about is, 1, the big old pipeline shutdown that happened. I think it was the Colonial Pipeline was what it was called. 2, Facebook announcing that it wants to do an under 13 Instagram for kids. And 3, the ARK Investment Fund by Cathie Woods having a heck of a bad week as the tech stocks all sold off. And that's a juicy one. I like that one too. But before we do that, I want to give a quick shout out to the Masterworks platform. And they're not paying me to say this, I promise. Masterworks is so it's only been in existence for about 4 years now, and it's really caught traction recently. They securitize art, like art that billionaires invest in, and you can buy shares of that art on the platform. It's a really cool idea. I mean, we live in an environment now where fixed income has like no purpose. I'm probably gonna get some flack from that. I have a couple friends that work in fixed income, which is bonds basically, in layman's terms. And they're probably going to be like, no, that's not true. It has a purpose. But beside the point, if you're going to hold an investment for 3 to 5 to 7 years, I'd rather do something cool like art than bonds. Either way, it's an awesome platform. Go check it out if you haven't already. And let's get started. So the first one I want to do is the pipeline shutdown, the Colonial Pipeline shutdown. A group called Dark Side, which is the coolest name. I'm not endorsing what they do because it's really messed up, but they use ransomware. They hold your company's secrets ransom unless you pay them a few $1 million. That's horrible. Dude, get a life. But either way, they have a really cool name. And what they did basically is they hacked gas. And if you're like me, which most people aren't because I'm kind of a nerd about this stuff, I immediately when I heard about this, I lost it. I was laughing so hard. I was like, remember a few years ago when people said, why would you get an electric car? You could hack an electric car. It's just a computer. They hacked gas. They literally hacked gas. So I thought that was really funny. But immediately, you had Atlanta, Charlotte. It was cities all up and down the East Coast because that's where the pipeline services. There were gas stations running out of gas. And I may have perpetrated part of the problem because I texted a few of my friends and said, hey, because I know who you are. You're riding around on empty right now. But texted a few of them and said, hey, look, go get gas. This happened. And the mad rush began of everyone going to the gas station. And events like this are interesting because they are feedback loops. I talk about feedback loops a lot. So an event happens that doesn't necessarily cause a problem, like the toilet paper shortage last year. I'm sure you remember everyone was hoarding toilet paper. They created the problem. There wasn't actually a shortage. But when things like this happen, people go crazy and they create the shortage themselves by overholding these assets that they just don't need. Like, I'm sure you've seen the video of I think it was a lady, I don't remember. It was they were pouring gas into Tupperware. What does gas do to Tupperware? It melts it. It literally melts it. The insanity, and it is the environment we live in nowadays. So I guess that's okay. So I want to talk about why Florida was actually okay, because on Wednesday, I was paying attention. I was like, maybe I should go. I'm getting a little low. And I went to my favorite gas station, looked around, and I was like, I'm not really paying any more than I was before this. Like, what's going on? I started thinking. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, which is a port city. We have 3 big ports and 3 big rail lines. And I said, oh, Florida is mostly not serviced by this pipeline. Even though we're on the East Coast, gas comes in from other sources. Why didn't we think of that? Why didn't it click in everyone's head that there's not just one source? If you haven't taken a look at the map of pipelines in the United States, it's a spider web. There is a lot going on. We have plenty of oil and insanity. Second one I want to do real quick is Zuckerberg announcing his Facebook under 13, which I heard about this and my knee-jerk reaction, as I hope yours was that's a bad idea. Just immediately. I mean, think back to when you first discovered social media. You're like, oh, this is great. And 2 weeks in, you realize, oh, holy cow, this is miserable. But now we're all stuck. Like, we're sucked into it. Oh, it's a pain. But so the 2 sides of this argument were the lawmakers argued, they said, social media is really bad for young people. It influences you in a bad way and teaches you to be jealous, I guess, of everyone else around you and to not enjoy what you have and to try to portray yourself in a different way. I totally agree with that. I think it's a horrible thing. I can remember back in elementary school, actually, there were a few kids that had Facebook and MySpace pages, and they were like the coolest people ever just because they lied to get on there and they had it. But looking back, you're like, who needs Facebook at that age? Like, who cares? Like, you go to school with the only people you know at that point. Either way, Zuckerberg's rebuttal to this was exactly that. They're just going to lie and get on anyways. We might as well regulate it and fix it. I agree with that, but that argument also doesn't hold up because you say, well, if you already accept that they're going to lie to get on your platform, you're just going to build another platform that they're going to lie and get around and get to the other one. You've gone in a circle. There's no point. Like, I don't understand the logic behind it. I think it's just silly, and I understand why he's doing it. He's looking at it, basically say, all right, we're taking active steps to be a responsible company so that the lawmakers will stop trying to sue him literally every 30 seconds because they do. And it's funny to watch because, man, it's great to watch these guys fry. I mean, you sit there and they're trying to justify their actions and they just can't half the time. They're like, oh, well, I don't even know. Anytime there's an antitrust movement on like the big four, it's like Google, Microsoft, Disney maybe? I don't know. Either way, those are always really fun and interesting to watch because it keeps people accountable. Third one we're going to talk about. The ARK Investment Fund is run by a lady named Kathy Wood, if you didn't know. And Miss Wood, I cannot speak to her investment performance, but what I can say is she is a terrific marketer. Oh my gosh, she's entertaining. She's a social media master. She has leveraged social media essentially to build these funds and these platforms. People know of her because of her social media, not because of the investment performance of her funds. And the majority of this fund is invested in tech stocks. If you've been paying attention the past few months, let's go back a year actually, past about a year, tech stocks did really, really, really well. We have, things like Tesla, and they just skyrocketed because that's what everyone was betting on. Now you hit the point where people are starting to ask, well, maybe these assets are overvalued. Maybe something that has a PE ratio of over 1,300 is a problem. Maybe. So when I look at something like this, I say there's a big consequence. There's a couple big consequences here. The first one is that everyone is now going to hopefully realize that mastery over social media and marketing does not directly equate to investment knowledge. It doesn't. The problem with that could be is we've had all these retail traders in now. It might scare them and money might flow out. Money flows out, it's bad for everyone. Money flows in, it's good for everyone as long as you don't hit massive inflation. We're not going to talk about that. I'm not an economist. Either way, the other consequence is I'm kind of worried that it's going to bring more people like Miss Wood into the investing environment. It's going to popularize advisors basically that are entertaining more than anything, and that could lose a lot of people a lot of money. But on the flip side of that, bringing more people into the markets is good. It builds equity for communities. It's really healthy. If you have, if you have 10 million people and only 5 million of them are actually participating in the markets, that's 5 million people that are spending their money on other things, consuming, instead of pumping money back into, the best way to put it is that money could be used for investment in new technology that pushes us all forward. It's really good for everyone. In the most basic of terms, it's good to have market participation. Even if in the short run something goes down, in the long run, more money flowing in is good for everyone. It helps people expand and grow. Small businesses really need it too. And those are the three things I have for you. So I am going to be out of town Wednesday, Thursday. I'm going to set something to auto release because there was one more really fun topic that I know is going to be coming out this week. So we're going to talk about that soon. But other than that, hope you have a terrific weekend, awesome Sunday, whenever you're watching this from, and I'll see you soon.